You guys, my PANCE score just got emailed to me. So Christian and I are about to open them together. And I'm so nervous. Oh my god, I'm like so anxious. I'm shaking. My heart rate's going at 1,000 million miles an hour. Oh god, this is horrible. Where's my laptop? You should feel my heart. It's actually like I might go into cardiac arrest.
Okay, yeah, it's beating pretty dang fast. Passed! Oh, thank God.
Oh. That's so exciting for me. I'm shaking.
I kind of am too, not gonna lie. My heart's kind of racing.
Oh my god. That was the worst week of my life.
You are all done.
That's so anxiety provoking. That's not even like, that shouldn't be allowed. My family's gonna be so happy.
Yeah. Call them.
I will. Oh, that was so
Congrats.
scary.
I'm
Oh
so
my
proud
god.
of you.
Thank you.
So genius.
Yay, it's finally time to share basically where we go from here now that I've graduated and passed the PANCE. I've been teasing this for so long just because if you guys have been following along, I did not want to share like where I was gonna work and really any details about that until I passed the PANCE, just to save myself in case I didn't pass and then all the plans changed. So now that I've passed, it's about time to share pretty much what's been going on in terms of like the job side of the things and where we're gonna go from here. And yeah, just finally talk. I'm so excited. I have a little Alani Nu that I'm gonna crack open with you guys. So get a drink, have a snack. We're gonna catch up. It's been a long time coming. So cheers. What is this flavor? Cherry twist. That is delicious. So I passed the PANCE. I shared a few videos ago in like the I graduated vlog, kind of my tips and tricks for the PANCE and how that went. Honestly, that is an exam that I feel like there's no really way to prep for it besides doing what you would normally do. PANCE prep pearls, Rosh review, UWorld, whatever. And it's just a long exam. A lot of it is about stamina. So I'm not gonna sit here and really share my tips or tricks because I don't really have any. I think the ultimate like takeaway that my friends and I had were that nobody really left that. A few people did. A few of the really smart cookies left feeling good. A lot of me and my friends left feeling not good. And you overthink everything and you get like a week to like overanalyze every single question that you know you got wrong. So that was very anxiety provoking, but getting that score was just such a big relief that now my adult world can finally start. So I basically want to share what's led me to the specialty that I'm working in, how the job search process went, and then where we're going from here. So I've hinted and alluded, if you guys have been keeping up with my vlogs, that I'm going to be working in family medicine. It's literally in my Instagram bio. I haven't really kept that part a secret, and this is actually something that was solidified back in July. Like I signed my contract back in July. So before we get to that part, let me share a little bit about why I chose family medicine. By no means, obviously I'm not working in it, so it's not like I'm saying family medicine is the best specialty ever, that everybody should work in family medicine, whatever. It just feels very right for me personally. A few things: my family medicine rotation, loved it. Did a elective in family medicine, loved it again. And then all throughout my clinical rotations, I really loved obviously family medicine, pediatrics, and women's health. So my psych rotation was not my favorite by any means. However, I do feel very passionate about like anxiety and depression. So I feel like all of those things you see in family medicine, and I wasn't in love with one of those specialties enough to kind of pursue it right off the bat. I've always said like I want to be really smart, and every specialty you're gonna meet like everybody's smart, but I just really wanted to go into family medicine to use all of the knowledge that I worked so hard to achieve throughout the entirety of PA school. I just want to kind of use it right away, and also really get an opportunity to see like what is it that I really love, like what am I super passionate about. If there is a specialty I want to go into one day, what might it be? Maybe I'll find out through family medicine. I also feel like throughout clinical rotations, you as a student can learn kind of like, are you an outpatient person or are you an inpatient person? My first few inpatient rotations I despised with like my core, I feel the most, this is like a personality thing, like I'm not saying this is the right way to feel, but I feel the most fulfilled through making patient relationships and seeing them multiple times. And that's stuff that I actually got to experience firsthand through my family med and my peds. And I also got to see like how loved my preceptors were. My inpatient rotations, I just felt like that was missing the whole time. Do you see really cool things inpatient in the hospital? Absolutely. However, I am super okay with not being like in a high acuity setting. When somebody's coding or when like somebody's bleeding out, like I don't need to be a part of that. I'm not ruling it out for my future, but I think as a new grad, I know I would be beyond stressed in those situations. I am very happy to be managing like chronic conditions because I'm passionate about them. Like I'm passionate about anxiety, depression. I'm passionate about healthy lifestyle and like weight loss and that kind of stuff. And just overall keeping somebody healthy and like that preventative medicine kind of thing, like I'm very passionate about that. So that's all personality thing, like that's all just like my personal preference. And also I don't want to discredit family medicine. Like there is going to be like a lot of learning that I'm gonna have to do. You get every complaint of the book. As a PCP, anything that a patient is struggling with, they're going to bring up to your attention. So I know that I'm going to have to be on my A game, and it's not just going to be a breeze, and I'm not just going to prescribe a blood pressure medication and then call it a day. Like there's going to be a lot to it, but that again is going to allow me to learn. Like I just really want to learn and use all my knowledge and do everything that I can as a PA to be a good provider. So that's kind of why I went for family medicine. I've actually heard from several people, some family med providers themselves, mainly physicians, to not go into family medicine because of the burnout. So what I've heard is that like those patients being able to kind of message you constantly, or you always having to follow up on their specialists and like their reports or blood work, I've heard it can be very like overwhelming and lead to burnout for some people. For me personally, I think I know that right away, and I know that I'm gonna have to set boundaries to prevent that. And do I think it's gonna be overwhelming? Absolutely, I really do. But I am confident in myself and my abilities to kind of like navigate that. And I'm also confident, which this will lead me into the next part, the people that I work with, I worked with firsthand. I rotated with them. So I got a job through clinical rotations, which I never thought would literally ever happen. And I got to see firsthand how they handle things, how they treat each other, how they support each other. And I just feel that when I'm having those emotions and like feeling overwhelmed, I feel like I'm going to be very supported. And I think having the opportunity to be in the environment that you are going to be working in the future is so valuable, because you get to see those ins and outs, the good, bad, the ugly, the disorganization if they are, their moods when they come into work. While I've been warned about burnout and everything, I just trust that my environment is going to allow me to kind of figure it out in a safe space with lots of support. So let's kind of talk about how that process unfolded. So I rotated with them. I never ever knew, I knew they liked me. They left a really positive review, but I never was like, oh, they want me to work for them. It also was my very first rotation. So when I tell you I was like a little baby deer, like I did not know what I was doing. So I never in a million years thought that they would want me to work for them. This is actually a crazy story, and this is like so true. So months go by. I vividly remember like January or February came around. I was doing peds and surgery at the time. I had kind of come to the conclusion that I really was interested in family medicine, because I had done like peds and women's health and like really loved them, and I was like, okay, well, family medicine could kind of like involve everything. And I remember having a very vivid conversation with my dad, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that first family medicine clinic that I worked in like would be such a dream. Like, and it was like just like a dream that I was having talking to him. Never in a million years did I think that would happen, mainly because it's kind of a newer clinic and I'm a new grad. Like as a new grad, like there's a lot of learning to be done, like I've said. So I just was dreaming, and I thought about it like probably like every week for months, just like, oh, that would be so fun. Also a very important detail is up until that point, I was pretty dead set for a while there on moving back to Metro Detroit. But over time I realized, well, I kind of liked living here more. And then I also realized like the only reason I really was dead set on Metro Detroit was because my parents live there, and I'm like, that's not a good enough reason. Like if I've made so many connections throughout this area of Michigan, then and if I get a good offer, like you should go for it. And my parents were fully on that page. Anyways, so for months I just fantasized about how fun that would be to work in this clinic. Truthfully, like I can't express enough, like I did not think that was possible. That I run into one of the PAs that worked there, and I tell her, I'm like, I'm actually thinking like because you know, at the time when I worked with them, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was like, yeah, and like I'm really leaning towards family medicine. I loved working with you guys. And she was like, we loved you too. Like, let me talk to the owner of the practice and just let her know that like you're interested in family medicine. But she was like, but we just hired somebody new. So I'm like, darn, like that's super nice that they enjoyed working with me, but like lost my chance. You know, I'm not graduating for a few months now. So that was that. And then maybe like a month later, I get a call from my clinical coordinator, and she had ran into the owner of the practice, who actually asked my clinical coordinator if I had a job yet. And this is like now May, so I'm jobless. That call was the most exciting thing ever, because I'm like, I felt like I had manifested it. And so my clinical coordinator is like, I just want to make sure like that's something that you're interested in. I'm like, absolutely, let her know. I am so interested. The owner of the practice ended up reaching out to me. Yeah, so I'm gonna pause there. So this is now May. So this is like a very unconventional way, I feel like, because I didn't have to apply and I didn't really have to interview. So I do want to give some insight to how other, like more of my classmates went about it, to help you guys, because I've gotten questions like, when should I start applying, like all that stuff. So this happened in May. Actually, I very vividly remember pretty much all of my friends were applying at this point. I had not applied anywhere because I did not feel like mentally ready. Like I felt like that was way too early to start applying. I didn't know where I wanted to apply to, so I was just like taking it easy, and then I ended up getting this call, so that worked out perfectly. But a lot of my friends applied in May. I think 2 of them, it was successful, out of state. So not in Michigan. They ended up getting jobs. I would say the majority of like my friends didn't really start like getting callbacks or emails until the July time period, and we graduated end of August. And I also know some people that like specifically waited to get their PANCE score back so that they were like a PAC when applying, that they just felt like that would help their experience a little bit better. So I really do think it's up to you. My personal opinion is no earlier than 2 months before graduating, just because they're not really gonna know what to do with you. I mean, there could, like, you know, every circumstance is different. Like I said, I had friends that got jobs in May and they've been just anticipating it ever since. My circumstance was a little bit different because actually the one who's hiring me specifically wanted another PA to start in the October time period, which is exactly when I'll be ready to start. So that just worked out perfectly. So I don't know, take it however you want it, but I also think it's important to just start applying when you feel ready. Like all my friends were applying and I literally was not, because I was like, I'm not in the mental state to make a resume and to apply and to like really start that chapter yet. If this hadn't happened, I would have started in June. So that's just kind of time period how that worked. Going back to my story, so she reaches out to me. We have a meeting in June, and this meeting, once again, it's not an interview or anything. It was kind of just like, here's my offer, like let me ask you a few questions about like your expectations. So she went over pay with me, she went over PTO, she went over my hours, like really everything. It was everything I had dreamed of, literally, and more. I know you guys are all probably dying to know how much I make. I don't think that's something I'm comfortable to share yet, just because I'm a new grad. I'm still figuring this all out myself. I don't want to put it on the internet really, but it was super, super fair. Like probably more than fair. There was like a thing that came out for like Michigan grads and Michigan PAs and what specialty you work in and the average and how much you make. So I used that to kind of like have a clear expectation of what I was expecting, and then her and I just kind of chatted about it. Once again, like there were no like tricks. You know, as a new grad, you need to be careful with like contracts that you sign. So I actually had one of my clinical coordinators look it over to make sure there were no little things that I was missing. So then that was just her kind of verbally saying the offer, and then she ended up officially sending me the contract to sign myself a month later. So I finally signed in July, and since then it's been lovely because I was just pretty much on standby until I took the PANCE, and then since then I've been like working on getting my license and stuff like that. So that was my personal experience, and I'm so excited. Like I really am. I've gone in and I took office pictures with them, and I've interacted with them several times since, and every time I go I'm just like, this is gonna be so good. That's that. So then, as you guys know, because I knew I was gonna be working here pretty much as of June, Christian and I were able to get an apartment finalized, and him and I both, so my lease ended end of July, his lease ended like end of August, so we just decided to move in together end of August is what it ended up being. And that's been really fun too, because I have like about a month and a half off, so I've been able to get the apartment settled. Like, the timing of everything really couldn't have been more perfect, which when you're going through it, like, it's one of those things where you can't really plan until things are settled. So I felt lucky that like I knew where I was going to be working as of June, so that I could kind of finalize all of this stuff. So we've been here. Living together has been really great. The first week was an adjustment because I took the PANCE the week we moved in together, so I was next level grumpy. Like, I was not somebody you wanted to be around, but ever since, now that I'm relaxed and know that I've passed, it's just been a dream and so nice to chill and spend time together and like not have any obligations. We're going to Disney World next week, so that's all been really good. So basically, I don't have a set start date. I think it'll be more finalized once I get back from my trip. My guess is like either the 2nd or 3rd week of October, and this is one thing that I think is so cool and gonna be really good for me. So my first month, I'm more so shadowing, like observing, training, whatever you want to call it, or part-time. So I'm working part-time that first month, won't have any patients that I'm seeing myself, like under my schedule. I might see some of her patients by myself, but it's gonna be under her schedule. So that's really nice, because that's a good month for me to get back on my feet, because like I haven't really thought about medicine at that point for like a month. So that'll be just really good. And also like learning their EMR system and just the ins and outs, like billing, like that'll just be really good for me to have a month where I can focus on that. My second month, I will be part-time again, but now have patients on my schedule. And I'm just very happy about that, because I'm going from having literally nothing to then working. I know that that's going to be stressful, so the fact that I can ease into it part-time, a patient every hour, like that's going to help me mentally a lot. And then finally, I think it's like December, January-ish is when I'll just be full-time. My schedule is going to be Monday, I think this is my schedule, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, I think, and then Friday half day. That's at least what we talked about back in June. So if things change, no worries, but that's kind of what was talked about. So pretty much December, January, I'll start with that schedule and finally have patients to myself, which is literally such a crazy thought that somebody can like call and schedule with me. But I do think after those 2 months, like I'll be ready. It'll feel really good. So now that if you guys have been listening to me blabber for this long, you're a real one. I do want to let you guys in a little bit on a internal crisis that I'm having when it comes to YouTube and social media. Feel free to end this video. There's not going to be any more job talk from here. So if you guys don't care, I appreciate for watching. But I had this a few times actually while I was a student. There were clinical rotations and stuff that found my YouTube. One of them reported my YouTube to my clinical coordinators. I never was like in trouble or anything for having a YouTube channel. I do think it was something my faculty, depending on the person, wasn't the biggest fan of, but I always knew in my heart that like my YouTube was something that I did to help others, to inspire pre-PA students, or just to show grad students in general that you can like be in grad school and also like be happy and have a balanced lifestyle. Like that was really my goal. Anyways, so there were a few times during like rotations and just PA school in general where I like second guessed having a YouTube channel because it's so accessible to people. Like I do put my life on the internet. I try to keep it as like real but also like not like too personal as possible. Anyways, I've recently just been having a crisis now that I'm like a real professional and gonna be a real like provider. I'm just like overthinking on what it's like if a patient were to like Google me and find my YouTube channel, like how that would be perceived. I feel like it also is kind of a generational thing. Like people my mom and dad's age, for example, like I feel like they don't really get it. Not everybody, like some might, but they see it as like, why is this girl filming herself? Like I feel like they see it as like a vain thing, and that's like just not what it is. But I also can't really control how people perceive it. So that's been something that I'm like really struggling with, because I would never want patients to look me up and to doubt like my abilities and judge me because I make YouTube videos. And I feel like I have a few different thoughts on it. My first thought is I could delete my entire YouTube channel and never have to worry about this, which makes me sad because I started this to be able to look back at my own journey and, like I said, to inspire others. I feel like deleting it would be going against a lot of like what I believe in. However, this is where my other brain cell comes in. My priority is succeeding as a physician assistant. Like that is my #1 priority over YouTube. So if this is going to be something that interferes with my career, it will be something that I need to give up. But then my third brain cell comes in and they're like, I am confident in who I am, I know my intentions, and I should not care what other people think, and people's perception of me is out of my control. And maybe it's just something where, because I actually had a conversation with a friend who does YouTube and is a professional in the medical field, so maybe it's like something where I can just be a little bit more picky about what I'm including in my videos. And I do think at the end of the day, that's kind of the decision, unless the people that I'm working with have a problem with me having YouTube. Yeah, I'm like really having a crisis about it, you guys. I think it's something where I'm just gonna have to live and learn. And I do think like 2 years from now, like I will be so confident in who I am as a provider that something like this wouldn't affect me. But I'm new to the workforce and don't want to risk anything. That was a big brain dump to you, but thank you guys so much for being here with me. It's been really fun to share my like PA school journey with you guys, and I hope to continue to share what life is like as an actual PA, because I think it's valuable, and I think this career is so cool, and I want to be able to talk about it and share what it's like to work in a PA, and also just the life that you can have as a PA, like the ins and outs of it. I think would be really fun to keep sharing. So anyways, you guys still will see me. I haven't made any decisions yet. I'm just word vomiting. So I love you guys so much, and I hope to see you in my next video.